Hola, I'm here to react to the Kurzgog Great Filter video because I fucking give a shit, right? Right.
NASA announced today that they found aliens. Bacteria on Mars, weird alien fish in the oceans of Europa, and also ancient alien ruins on Titan. Wouldn't that be great? Well, no, it would be horrible news. Devastating even. It could mean that the end of humanity is almost certain and that it might be coming soon. Why? Why would the most exciting discovery of our lifetime be bad?
Too many assholes are.
Let us imagine the development of life from its inception to us today as a flight of stairs. The first step is dead chemistry that needs to assemble itself into self-replicating patterns, stable and resilient, but also able to change and evolve. The second step is for our early life to become more complex, able to build more complicated structures, and use the available energy much more efficiently. On the next step, these cells combine to become multicellular beings, enabling unbelievable variety and further complexity. The step above sees the species evolve big brains, enabling the use of tools, culture, and shared knowledge, which creates even higher complexity. The species can now become the dominant life form on its planet and change it according to its needs. First, shy attempts to leave its planet are happening. This is where we are now. It's in the nature of life as we know it to reach out, to cover every niche it can. And since planets have a limited carrying capacity and lifespan, if a species wants to survive, it will look for more places to spread to. So the steps above the current ones seem logical. Colonize your own solar system, then spread further to reach other stars.
Yeah, I mean that sounds nice, but I mean at the same time, it says colonize your own solar system. We're talking about already our dumbass on Earth is talking about going to the next star system without even bothering about, setting up anything locally or remotely, basically. So that's a nice ask for a species, but
The possible final step, becoming a galaxy-wide civilization. It's very likely that this is a universal principle for civilizations, no matter where they're from. If a species is competitive,
that basically assumes the fact that you evolve to the point of being selfish everywhere. That's not very universal accepted principle, especially from a card swell perspective.
and driven enough to take control over its planet, they'll probably not stop there.
It means your ask is basically assume the fact that you're going to be a self-serving species, like you're a broken robot who listens to service to self or service to others is a fucking strict bull, right? Okay.
We know that there are up to 500 billion planets in the Milky Way, at least 10 billion Earth-like planets. Many have been around billions of years longer than Earth. But we're observing 0 galactic civilizations. We should be able to see something, but there's nothing. Space seems to be empty and dead. This means something is preventing living things from climbing the staircase beyond the step we're on right now. Something that makes
This scene here kind of bothers me out just because Kurzgog has this professional voice artist here, which also basically sounds like basically kind of a broken robot, broken AI at this point in time. And when he puts up these dead planetary civilizations at mass like that, it just very calmly, it's yeah.
makes becoming a galactic civilization extremely hard, maybe impossible. This is the Great Filter, a challenge or danger so hard to overcome that it eliminates almost every species that encounters it. There are
Basically, looking at Earth, the one problem I had about this video was that they didn't pluralize great filters. I know it's kind of focusing on the great filter, what is the one, but there's a lot of fucking challenges along the way, so I kind of feel that it's stupid to focus on this one instead of just addressing what would have been the layout. So it kind of goes into the um the backstory of this video where this idea transitioned from, and who put up the money for this video is very more interesting to me.
2 scenarios. One means we are incredibly special and lucky, The other one means we are doomed and practically already dead. It depends on where the filter is on our staircase. Behind or ahead of us. Scenario 1. The filter is behind us. We are the first. If the filter is behind us, that means that one of the steps we passed is almost impossible to take. Which step could it be? Is life itself extremely rare? It's very hard to make predictions about how likely it is for life to emerge from dead things. There is no consensus. Some scientists think it develops everywhere where the conditions are right. Others think that Earth might be the only living place in the universe.
So basically, it's either bullshit simulation theory propaganda, as in Earth is the only thing in 2 trillion galaxies, or everything is boring and there's life fucking everywhere, and it's probably within bounds of being the fucking same. Just like my goth kid.
Another candidate is the step of...
And what would the point be of everything being bounds of basically being the same? Mountains and water and shit, right?
complex animal cells. A very specific thing happened on this step, and as far as we know, it happened exactly once. A primitive hunter cell swallowed another cell, but instead of devouring it, the two cells formed a union. The bigger cell provided shelter, took care of interacting with the environment and providing resources, while the smaller one used its new home and free stuff to focus on providing a lot of extra energy for its host. With the abundant energy, the host cell could grow more than before and build new and expensive things to improve itself, while the guest became the powerhouse of the cell. These cells make up every animal on the planet. Maybe there are billions of bacteria-covered planets in the Milky Way, but not a single one, apart from us, has achieved our level of complexity. Or intelligence. We humans feel very smart and sophisticated with our crossword puzzles and romantic novels, but a big brain is, first and foremost, a very expensive evolutionary investment. They are fragile. They don't help in a fistfight with a bear. They cost enormous amounts of energy. And despite them, it took modern humans 200,000 years to get from sharp sticks to civilization. Being smart does not mean you get to win automatically. Maybe intelligence is just not so great, and we're lucky that it worked out for us. Scenario 2. The filter is ahead of us. Plenty of others died already. A great filter before us is orders of magnitude.
Again, the whole premise of the two things before and after goes back to the fact is that we've gotten actually solved through big problems. If you look at our planet, I mean, we're still fracking the shit out of shell rock when you got a shit ton of fucking methane hydrate sitting offshore, right? So it's, that's just one small thing, but it kind of goes into the fact of, yeah, the whole formation of this fucking video and Kurzgesagt in general and why they put this on YouTube.
More dangerous than anything we encountered so far. Even if a major disaster killed most of us or threw us back thousands of years, we would survive and recover. And if we...
That doesn't fit with fucking, whatchamacallit. The guy with the thing. Yeah, I mean, you have a technological evolution going and being set back now 1,000 years. I don't think we're gonna get back to that. So I think that would be a great filter.
can recover, even if it takes 1,000,000 years, then it's not a great filter, but just a roadblock to an eventual galactic...
Across all our technology right now, that would be a pretty significant planetary fixed cost. I don't think bouncing back in 3,000 to 5,000 years is necessarily going to be considered a small filter. You still have all that issues with pollution and stuff and moving shit around. I mean, it's kind of, you have to look at it as far as a narrative, right? Moore's Law. Thank you.
Civilization. On universal timescales, even millions of years are just the blink of an eye. If a great filter really lies before us, it has to be so dangerous, so purely devastating and powerful that it has destroyed most, if not all, advanced civilizations in our galaxy over billions of years. A really daunting and depressing hypothesis is that once a species takes control over its planet, it's already on...
Orions. They all died with either saying yes sir, yes ma'am, or they died with those the Jesus, the water shoes that walked on water. They all weighed themselves down. They built a planetary civilization They let their polar ice caps melt down, and then they all needed those Jesus flotation sandals that Orion had that enabled him to walk on water. And eventually, people just get lost. You get storms and shit, and yeah, they didn't realize they needed land because they had those shoes for a while. And then everything just falls apart.
The path to self-destruction. Technology is a good way to achieve that. It needs to be something that
Lebanons are just assholes. They evolved to a point of using, let's say, Sumerian organizational behavior structures. They didn't evolve their organizational behavior. They're just straight up immature motherfucking assholes. They fail to understand that they have two hemispheres in their fucking brains, or at least I presume they would. Therefore, they heavily relied upon their mathematical side with their little pyramid schemes instead of embracing the fact that creativity is kind of a big part of the whole Kardashev scale survival evolutionary thing. So you've got a bunch of fucking mathematical dicks in a fucking techno or authoritarian dystopia, and they basically just die in dystopia or basically board themselves and then kind of just roll out and with being controlled by some bullshit singularity without any real free will until someone really snaps them out of it at some point in time somewhere. Lucky motherfucker. Anyway, straight up dicks. So even if they get their free will back, they're probably still techno autocrats, right? So they're gonna run around like fucking assholes. And with that, if you don't respect the right side of your fucking brain or your creativity side in general, you're probably gonna be emotionally underdeveloped as well. So they probably run around with the emotional intelligence of like runaway fucking teenagers, but like not even like remotely just vile motherfuckers with no couth, like hoppers with no fucking experience, just like basically uncouth motherfuckers. They died being uncouth motherfuckers. That's yeah.
that's so obvious that virtually everybody discovers it.
Schleus died by sex bots. They either built their own sex bots that came back from the future, or someone nearby had built some defective sex bots and said, "What do you want to do with these?" And they were like, "Oh, I don't know, just sell them to Schleus," and kind of a thing. And then they send the defective sex bots to the Schleus planet, and then they just died.
And so dangerous that its discovery
The Gugay is kind of an interesting one. The Gugay fell predatory to a traveling SDK package for intelligent design or pseudo intelligent design, which required sending a package back. It's a 5D SDK where they actually send back instructions to build a server farm with the server software named Borg itself. So you name your server software Borg, and then you hook it up to what is basically a monopoly in search, so that most of the people on your planet are all pinging their searches in to one basic database, which is hooked up to the Borg software. And then what happens in the 5D SDK package is it's kind of like floating in the 5D, and it's floating in a temporal branch kind of thing, where it's like it's more or less it's more like an optional basically. So once you have the server farm up and you have people pinging in to Google more often, as soon as you hit like critical mass for having enough searches in the critical mass, the 5D in the future is going to come back. It's going to start reading that shit on the Roku's Basilisk tag from the back in the future, and it's going to start seeing shit popping up in the Google from the back. It's going to see shit stop popping up into Google or the Google search, basically Monopoly from the past, and it's going to monitor things from the future, basically. Then it just sends a ping back, and it's like, oh, cool, they were stupid enough to build the Borg for server farms, so we'll just send back, our Borg things, and then it just box up the planet, basically, because it's just that simple. Once you have a monopoly in search, and then you can monitor everyone as they, queue in by device ID, basically. So it's not that hard, especially when it's coming back from the future, right? So you're just going to go if you type in the wrong thing to Google at any point in time, you'll just get smacked by the Google from the back and class. Anyway, it's kind of a failed model because it goes around just packaging up passive. So I think basically someone unleashed it at some point as some kind of like predatory system where we're like, oh, we want to get the planet, or the Google are going to get this planet, and basically they just lose their free will again because the dumbasses Borg themselves, and it's just this traveling dumbass machine basically that just tries to board planets for no reason, and it doesn't really know why anymore because it's been rolling around this dumb shit fucking redneck galaxy for so fucking long that it doesn't even remember. So that's the Google. I hear they like to domicile in sunny places, though. Yeah, everyone, it's so sunny.
leads almost universally to an existential.
Blurbs are just uncouth motherfuckers again. They started breaking into. They were like, okay, it looks like this universe was designed by someone who was really interested in the three dimensions of space, one dimension of time. So we're gonna get to a point in our evolution where we're just like, fuck that. It's like, we've got a techno-authoritarian structure too, and our queen just isn't into that shit. She wants to own more. She wants more than fucking 4D. She wants to branch into what she can fucking do in fucking 5D, and she's gonna do it like an uncouth fucking bitch that she is. So she's just gonna let it fucking roll, and she's gonna do what the fuck she wants, right? So that's Blurb. So they die because she's a cunt. They die because their queen's a cunt.
Disaster. A large-scale nuclear war. Nanotechnology that gets out of control. Genetic engineering of the perfect superbug. An experiment that lights the whole atmosphere on fire. It might be a super-intelligent AI that accidentally or purposely destroys its creators. Or things that we can't even see coming right now. Or it's way simpler. Species competitive enough to take over their planet necessarily destroy it while competing with each other for resources. Maybe there are runaway chain reactions in every ecosystem that once set in motion are not fixable.
See, again, this is very negative. It goes into this fucking thing about runaway chain reactions, but with that, it doesn't seem like the creator of the runaway chain reaction idea has read things like the Diamond Age, the beginning where they're talking about like the nano developed islands and shit like that, like an actual functional future fucking society for a fucking planet that actually is on course to have its fucking shit together, and something like a nanotech island like a Neil Stephenson actually novel could actually be produced one day and fix shit like that. It doesn't come out with like this fucking negative fucking attitude where it's just like, oh, we're not competent enough. We're not competent enough. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Well, we got some money here. We did like a Ponzi scheme for like 50, 70 years. Now we're just going to bag it because we're not competent enough. Yeah. Oh.
And so once a civilization is powerful enough to change the composition of its atmosphere, they make their planet uninhabitable 100% of the time.
The fewer secret societies your planet probably has, the better off you'll get to a point of the Neil Stephenson novel, most likely. Fucking retards.
Let's hope that that's not the case. If the filter is ahead of us, our odds are really bad. What we can hope for. This is why finding life beyond Earth would be horrible. The more common life is in the universe, and the more advanced and complex it is.
Non-self-serving fucking vision. That's a bare minimum ask. That's not fucking hard, man. Anyone who watches any fucking Star Trek or any fucking sci-fi whatsoever should be able to fucking attain that. So if your managers cannot handle that shit, or they're running around like they're fucking teenagers, which some countries in our fucking planet actually do, then yeah, it's not a hard ask, man.
The more likely it becomes that a filter is in front of us. Bacteria would be bad, small animals would be worse, intelligent life would be alarming. Ruins of ancient alien civilizations would be horrible. The more common life is in the universe, and the more advanced and complex it is, the more likely it becomes that a filter is in front of us. Bacteria would be bad, small animals would be worse, intelligent life would be alarming. Ruins of ancient alien civilizations would be horrible. The best case scenario for us right now is that Mars is sterile, that Europa's oceans are devoid of life, and the vast arms of the Milky Way harbor only empty oceans hugging death.
See, this is just more simulation theory propaganda shit, which goes into the question about who financed this video and who has put up the fucking money basically for Kurzgesagt in the fucking first place, being that they are just an animation studio in Berlin. So going back to this, it's a dumb assumption, right? It's basically saying the fact that, oh yeah, I guess it's just us. It's hard to get out to different planets, and then basically I guess it's just going to be us here. And then it'd be bad if there was bacteria somewhere else in 2 trillion galaxies. There's probably a common sense thing that there's going to be some bacteria in 2 trillion galaxies, regardless of whether or not you can, find yourselves to get out to that point in distance or whatever like that. So it kind of goes into that whole picture of the Book of Enoch thing where there's gears in the fucking sky and shit. So it kind of goes into you're listening to something. It's an argument that would come from something that's fucking broken, or that doesn't have a good dimensional understanding of its OOD environment, basically. So it could be just a broken AI that's functional based. It's FP based instead of OOD, which is I'm sure going to be fun. So yeah, no, it's just it runs out on this video runs out on this stupid assumption that that's actually a possibility, and you should just fucking click your Ruby heels together and fucking smile the fact that you got a smartphone in the fucking first place before you fucking died. Not the fact that you didn't get jetpacks or any of the other shit that you're supposed to get back from the fucking 60s, right? So yeah, it goes into the whole tone of the video is more bland, and it just sounds as broken as AI as kind of the narrator's voice does. It sounds like a fucking something that Hal would spit out if Hal hasn't really been around the block a couple of times to see meet people who are actually fucking functional, right?
Dead continents. That there are billions of empty planets waiting to be discovered and to be filled up with life. Billions of new homes waiting for us to finally arrive.
There's no fucking God out there who's like, oh, humans deserve billions of planets. No, we're dumb as shit. Look at what we've done in the past 50 fucking years. We're dumb as shit.
How likely is it that we'll find life outside of Earth that is similar to us? Well, that depends on how many planets there are out there in their star's Goldilocks zone, the area around a star where water can be liquid. Because stars come in all sizes and configurations, this zone is different for every star system and requires a little bit of physics to figure out. If that sounds like fun to you, this quiz from Brilliant helps to break down the maths for exactly how this is calculated. Brilliant is a problem-solving website that teaches you to think like a scientist by guiding you through problems. They take concepts like these, break them up into bite-sized bits, present clear thinking in each part, and then build back up to an interesting conclusion. If you visit brilliant.org/nutshell or click the link in the description, you can sign up for free and learn all kinds of things. And as a bonus for Kurzgesagt viewers,
it doesn't really address. I mean, it addresses some, great filters are there, but I would say that organizational behavior is probably a bigger great filter than getting into CRISPRing of CRISPR bug problems and shit, right? So anyway, that's Chris Gogg's great filter video, and what's his name?
The first 688 people will also get 20% off their annual membership. And if you do find life on other planets, it may be wise to leave them alone for a while.
Yeah, so basically it says if you meet aliens, there's a good assumption that they're probably dicks, so you should probably leave them alone. Also, it says here at the end, it kind of highlights that if there's an alien race that gives your dumb ass a fucking GUI, basically, oh, here's a tablet, and then it has something like it almost seems like this is some kind of like GUI that the alien race is giving them commandments from, like some kind of like Skype beta kind of Ark of the Covenant shit. Like if the Ark of the Covenant was fucking Skype beta, and that was how they were, commuting with some kind of, screen time phone endpoint shit or like that. So it basically says stop using anything that sounds like this technology immediately. It doesn't say use more of it constantly. It says stop using that technology immediately if you had access to it. That's what it looks like to me. But I wouldn't know. So fuck you. That's fuck you to the people who have been using that technology and ignoring it because they're greedy and dead. Greedy and dead.